I really don't see a tension here. Tension in terms of embracing the character and the traits of what Pickens County is. I think it's unique in some of the characteristics that it has here. So my job is to maintain that. My job is to, if we're going to have growth, make sure that growth mirrors or is in concert with what our citizens would want for their community.
Hey there, welcome to the Around Pickens podcast. I'm your host, Graham Parker. I've got a little bit of a cryptic question for you. What defines the character of a community? If you pay close enough attention, you'll notice that in any town or county you travel through, things change from one end to the other. Housing, industrial areas, shopping districts, green space. It's all a collection of different land uses, which exists in this delicate balance that creates the environment and feeling of where we live and work. If property use isn't stewarded well, then that balance is thrown off, and disorder could eventually erode our sense of community. Given that responsibility, it's no wonder that Pickens County's planning and zoning apparatus receives so much scrutiny throughout the year. Today, we're going to zoom in on a new part of that apparatus by speaking with our Planning and Development Office's new director. Charles Reese has years of experience managing zoning offices in both Georgia and North Carolina. He's worked in big counties, small towns, and everything in between. For the past 2 months or so, he's taken the helm of our Planning and Development Office, an office that is responsible for not only all residential and commercial developments on county land, but also every business in unincorporated Pickens. And that's just the day-to-day work. Apart from issuing building permits and business licenses, Charles and his staff are busy collaborating with the Marshal's office, reworking parts of our Code of Ordinances, and advising different boards. Needless to say, it's a tremendous amount of responsibility. And I caught up with Charles a couple of weeks ago to see how he's settling into the role and what his plans are for the office. So come on along. Let's hear what Charles had to say about developing the county.
Charles, thank you for joining me this morning. I think you've been on the job for, 6 or 7 weeks now?
I would say 6 weeks. I'm losing count.
Well, it's good to finally sit down with you and get to know you a little bit better.
Yes.
I'd like to start the conversation off just the way I do with all these interviews by asking you a bit about your background. Where'd you go to school? What's your career been like so far? And how'd you end up as our planning and development director?
Well, I went to HBCU, Wilberforce University, right outside of Dayton, Ohio. And I was there for 4.5 years. Took me a little longer there because I was also a recording artist. So it took me a little bit longer to get out of undergrad. From there, I went directly into grad school. For some people, they look at that as a mistake because most people, when they go into grad school, they're already in their career. But I decided to try to just get everything over with before I started in my career, which I didn't know at the time would be city planning. But after a while, after a couple years in grad school, by the way, that was Wright State in Dayton, Ohio, I decided that I had an interest in city planning. And so I decided to make that as my focus while at Wright State University. And from there, I found what would be my eventual wife in Dayton. We moved or relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina is where I actually began my city planning career. For 2 towns that was right outside of Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, towns of Stanley, towns of Dallas. I work for one town, one half of the day, take my lunch, go up the road and work in the other town. And I like to mention those 2 towns because I was kind of thrown in the fire very early on in my career. It really helped me in terms of, what I've become today in terms of being a professional city planner and working in community development. But in those 2 towns was 2 separate boards, 2 separate councils. So it was quite a challenge, but it was fun. I realized working for those 2 towns that, yes, this is the career for me. So from there, we relocated to Metro Atlanta, Georgia. And I had stints in Cherokee County, DeKalb County, and some other places. Also mixed in, worked for a engineering firm where Home Depot was our main client. So I had an opportunity not to just work on the public side, but also the private side, getting to know how developers think as well. I would travel to Florida and do site acquisition work for Home Depot and do their due diligence to see if they can actually develop in some of those areas in Florida. So that was a great opportunity as well, adding to the skills that I was already kind of being nurtured to become, the best city official I can be. So from there, also dabbed a little bit in real estate. So once again, everything is what's make me to what I am today in community development. Having all those different areas of interest has really helped me in terms of customer service, in terms of how to relate with the public, how to relate to elected officials, and just being a better worker for our local government. So I really, really am blessed to been able to experience what I've experienced to get me to where I am today.
I've got to say, it sounds like you've had a pretty eclectic career over the last 2 decades. I guess you do like a challenge. I'm curious, when you look back on it, are there any high points you would point towards that helped you become, like you said, a better public official?
Yes, well, I know working for Home Depot was fascinating because I was able to kind of understand how developers think. So as a city planner, as a planning official, when I'm having meetings with them, when it comes to site plan review, if there's zonings that have to be made, anything that comes about that's a challenge between our zoning regulations and what developers are asked to do or required to do, I was able to have those type of conversations. And so to answer your question, to be able to see multi-million-dollar development, such as, what Home Depot was putting out there, that was a major accomplishment for me to be able to say, hey, I'm part of the reason why that development is there. And then other highlights would be when I'm coming up with text amendments that kind of change the periphery of how a municipality looks at things, such as the overlay district I came up with a few years ago, which welcomed in sewer to the community. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to bring sewer here, because I realize that Pickens County is a bedroom community. But that was a huge accomplishment because what we did was bring more businesses as a result of that overlay. We had strict standards for housing developments that were coming in, how we want them to look, the live, work, and play. You heard that whole adage, the live, work, and play. So I was very proud of that overlay ordinance that we came up with as a staff. There have been other accomplishments, just seeing a Macy's come up or Costco's or major developments coming into your community. Those have been major accomplishments on my part. But I do realize here in Pickens County, we are a bedroom community. And we want to, yes, there's going to be some growth, but you want to be able to manage that growth. You want to be able to contain that growth as best as possible. Also keeping in mind what the character is for this community. So I embrace what Pickens County is and what can we do to make sure that we maintain the integrity, that character that makes Pickens County what it is.
Right. Yeah, I think you've touched on something a lot of people think about, as our population increases, there's more of a desire to have more development. That's created a tension with people who want to keep it rural. So how do you navigate that tension?
Well, I really don't see it as a challenge per se. Of course, I did my homework before I came to Pickens County. I know what Pickens County is and what it wants to be. At the same time, it's my job to educate. It's my job to follow the vision. It's my job to provide technical advice to the elected officials and the folks that make decisions. and to give them what they need to make those informed decisions. But I don't really consider it as a challenge per se. I realize what this community is looking to be right now and in the future. So I do look at short range plans. I look at long range plans in terms of, okay, how do we see Pickens County 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? But I really don't see a tension here, tension in terms of embracing the character and the traits of what Pickens County is. I think it's unique in some of the characteristics that it has here. So my job is to maintain that. My job is to, if we're going to have growth, make sure that growth mirrors or is in concert with what our citizens would want for their community.
Well, let's dig in a little bit more into that. Back in episode 6, Chris told us about how the Code of Ordinances were developed back in the late 90s, looking
Yes.
at language
Yes.
from different communities. And
Yes.
a big part of what you're trying to do right now is update that.
Yes.
How's that going, and how are you going about it?
It's going great. I did mention in the last Board of Commissioners meeting when I gave a presentation on bringing in potential new uses, crypto mining and solar farm. Of course, it was tabled because we want to make sure we have all the information we need before the commissioners actually make a decision. But that's all in an effort to always find ways in which we can update our ordinance, reassess our ordinances, reevaluate, given the current trends that you see all over our society. You want to make sure that our Code of Ordinances stay up to date. And we've noticed that there are some items in our ordinances that's going to have to be rethought about, reassessed, reevaluated. So it's always a good thing to look at what you have and see, okay, where can we improve? What are some areas that we can kind of do away with now? So that's what we're in the process of doing right now in revamping and revitalizing our zoning ordinance so that it not only mirror what Pickens County is and where we want to go, but it's also up to date with the current trends that we see all around us.
Mm-hmm. Let me pivot the conversation a little bit. You've worked in a wide variety of communities, some dense, some not so densely populated, some urban, some rural. Obviously, each one has its own unique considerations, but have you found in working in zoning in all these communities, there are any common difficulties or challenges you come up against?
Well, the common challenge, I don't want to say difficulty, the common challenge is there's a growing kind of aura out there in terms of the trust that the people have or the citizens have with government, from federal all the way down to our local governments. And in most cases, there's good reason for that. I've always felt that my purpose is to educate. My purpose is to understand what those issues are, understand what the feeling is, understand, okay, this is the reason why the public is so angst about certain issues. Make sure I educate myself on that. But our job as public officials is to be a resource. Our job is to listen. Our job is to provide service. So when I say to our residents that our doors are always open, we really mean that. We want to make sure that we give them the information that they need, that we're here to serve. We're not only here just to say, no, you can't do this. We're here to say, hey, there may be a way you could do such and such and such, given what our code allows, making it more customer friendly. So when folks come in, there's already an apathy or an intimidation type of thing that goes on with people coming to our government offices. So we have to do the best we can to make sure that they feel comfortable, make sure that they know that, hey, we're here to help you. Right. Our number one priority is to serve you. And so I just think that local governments in particular, we need to do a better job in making sure that we get that message out there that we're here for you, not the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with your office right now, beyond the things that we've discussed, do you have any long-term or short-term goals that you're trying to accomplish, like what you mentioned with education?
Yes, some of the short-term goals is to make sure that we could streamline some processes that were probably convoluted before. When making sure that when people go online, for example, that they can get what they need online, and without having to always come to our office, where they could fill out applications online. They could pay for maybe a permit online, things of that nature that we already are beginning to have in place, but just to make it more customer friendly for people. And also to make sure when we're giving presentations to the community and to our elected officials during rezones, text amendment changes, variances, what have you, that the information that we put out there is understandable. Is understandable. People can get a grasp of what the goals are, what we're trying to achieve as a community. And once again, I mentioned that word education, to make sure that whatever we're putting out there, that people can understand it. And you may disagree with some of what we're doing, but at least we can be able to articulate the whys. And once people can find that common ground, say, okay, I might disagree with this, but I understand. That's always the goal of our staff and pretty much the overall county.
Mm-hmm. Charles, that's all the questions I really had for you today. Was there anything you wanted to discuss that we didn't get to?
No, I know you mentioned in our previous conversations about being an outsider.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
And I thought that was an interesting topic. And I don't feel like an outsider. I feel as though I fit very well in this community. I really attribute that to my childhood. I lived in a community that was diverse in many ways. Not just with ethnicity, but in terms of class, in terms of how people operated in their homes, what have you. It was a lot of diversity. I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio, so being up there, you saw everything, and so coming into this type of environment, it may appear that I'm an outsider, but with all that exposure that I've had throughout my life has really prepared me, for assignments such as this. And I really embrace this assignment of this season of being here in Pickens County, and what I can do to kind of be a change agent in some ways, what I can do to make the world a better place. So I really embraced I don't want to call it a challenge, but I really embrace the opportunity to be in this community and to see what I can do to make it better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of what being a public servant is all about.
It is
serving, a wide variety of people in our public.
Exactly. That's a wonderful thing about government. You're dealing with people with different motives, different personalities, different belief systems, but that's what makes it all great. That whole tapestry that you can just appreciate and just navigate your way through. So that's how I look at life. But I'm very excited about the opportunity here in Pickens County, and I look forward to the coming days, months, and years, God willing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that note, I think we'll close out the interview here. But Charles Reese is Pickens County's new Planning and Development Director. Thanks again for coming on this morning, Charles.
It's been my pleasure, Graham. Thank you very much.